Welcome to Sinkowitz, hosted by the fearless Linda Sinkowitz. She's syncing you up with the latest in election integrity, from breaking headlines to critical updates you won't hear anywhere else. With Linda, it's facts first as she leads the fight for one vote for one legal voter. Stay informed, stay empowered. Let's jump in.
Hi, and welcome to Sinkowitz. I'm Linda Sinkowitz. I'm the founder and CEO of Fight Voter Fraud. Well, this week we have a special with Gary Meyers from the Meyers Report, and we're going to bring him on right now. Hi, Gary. Thank you for coming on.
My pleasure. How are you doing today, Linda? It's a beautiful day out.
I am doing fantastic. Yes, it is cold. It's cold here, and it's cold where you are as well.
We got snow yesterday in the middle of March. But it's cold weather.
I'm done. I'm done with winter. I'm done. Completely done. All right, so Gary, you want to just give us a little background about yourself and the Meyers Report before we go into what we want to talk about?
Sure, Linda. The Meyers Report is a group. It's a voluntary think tank that has been around for 45 years. We now have people in about 40 countries. Everyone who is an expert in their particular area is a hands-on expert. There's about 150 of us, of which 60 or 80 are really active, but we do not have a single academic in the entire group. These are all people with hands-on experience. They were at the event. They were participating in the event, or they wrote the original research that everyone else uses. Everybody is a hands-on expert. Now, they may be teaching in college, but we don't have, at this time, but we don't have a single person who has spent their life in the ivory tower or the bubble.
Wow.
And we cover all sorts of subjects.
Yeah, you have some amazing people, because I've been on a number of your podcasts with this, and it's incredible the amount of information from around the world that you have.
Well, yeah, it is interesting. As you know, we do forecasts in October, November, and December of 2024. We did about 177 forecasts for 2025 and 26. And we have, of those measurable, which is about 165, 170, we have a 93.2% accuracy rate.
Unbelievable.
And it is unbelievable, but it's because we have people from around the world contributing information. And a lot of it, some of it is analytics, but some of it is just knowing things that are going to happen before they do, which, well, of course, they could be wrong.
Right.
93.2% of the time, we've been right.
Wow. So if somebody wants to get on and listen, how would they do that? Would they send you an email and
they
ask to put on the list?
They can send me an email. They also can go to meyersreport.news and send us a message there. But they can also send me an email, and it's really fascinating. I don't know if I mentioned to you, I probably did, but we're adding our age range for the people in our group run from a young of 18 years old to over 90. Obviously, since we've been around for 45 years, there's a significant number of us who are older. It's just the way it is. And what we did, we started 2 years ago to try and meld or marry the thoughts of young people in with the wisdom of the older folks. We have a group of gray hairs. In order to be to qualify, you have to be at least 80 years old. And of the five, I believe it's of the top 5 or 6, it's well over 400 years. We're up there, and we are communicating with the young people. We've got it set up now. We've just about 2 years with the London School of Economics. and we're adding in some students. We have some students in the U.S., and we're soon adding on students in Ukraine, Latin America, and South America, and they'll be talking to us. And they're also going to be doing man on the street interviews as questions come up, so we can ask questions of people in real time. Now, it's going to be anecdotal. It's not going to be, like a Rasmussen survey, but it's going to be in real time, and it'll be real information. And as I said, we're cross-pollinating the young people with the older folks.
Okay, well, what we're going to be talking about today has to do with election information. And I guess last fall, the Meyers Report, you had done a survey on election rules of all 50 states and compared them with the 36 other countries. What was the distribution of the countries surveyed?
Oh, we had 25 people on 5 continents doing the survey. We took countries, obviously, the U.S. We took countries in North America and South America, Africa, Eastern Europe, Western Europe, Asia, and Australia. We got a pretty good sampling. This year, we're going to be redoing it and adding in some more countries. But we got a really good distribution of developed countries as well as not so developed countries.
All right. So what we're going to do is we're going to put up the graph because we want to know, how did the United States do with the rest of the world?
Very, very badly. In fact, we were the worst. This graph shows A, B, C, and D, as well as failing, F. The United States wasn't even as high as it looked. Right now, the United States, under our current measure of 0 to 100, it's 59.8% as a score, which is an F. But it's not even really even that high. For example, the U.S., every country in the world requires citizenship voting. And the U.S. requires only citizens to be allowed to vote in every state. But only one state, New Hampshire, actually proves it. Only one state, New Hampshire, actually requires real proof of citizenship. 3 other states have some proof, but there are ways around it. But the vast majority of our country goes by the honor system. We're the only country in the world that does that. It's incredibly stupid. So if you were to take that factor out, that we're the only ones that don't prove it, we would be down to like 55, by far the lowest. And that means we're lower than Kenya, which is scoring 95, Albania, which is 88, South Africa, which is also about 88. Even we also measured, for example, Russia and China. Now, yeah, Russia and China are dictatorships, that's for sure. But they have rules, and they want to appear to be democratic. Okay. So their rules set the benchmark for what they think would be fair and reasonable. Well, Russia is at 70, and we're at less than 60. And, the same thing is basically true for China. China is at 68. I mean, good grief.
I know. It's pathetic.
It's unbelievable.
So with the Save America Act, when it finally gets passed, what kind of impact will that have?
Phenomenal impact. That will bring our average score up to 81, which would make us a high C. It's not a B and it's not an A, but it's a high C, which is a heck of a lot better than an F. Nice. And it's important that we get our scores up, because one of the keys to democracy is people have to believe in their election system. And right now, there's a lot of people that don't. And that's how I guess it was Ben Franklin who said, "We've handed you a republic. It's up to you to keep it."
Right. And we are in a really bad position right now in the United States that we could lose our republic if we don't straighten this mess out. Which right now, I mean, if we had to put it on somebody's shoulders, it's the Democrats holding up the Save America Act,
Well,
which is insanity.
the Democrats and at least one Republican senator,
Oh, yeah.
Lisa Murkowski from Alaska. I got to wonder where her head is at.
And what about Collins? Is Collins, I mean, she's one of the four that seems to have quite an issue as well. We don't know why.
I don't understand why anyone would oppose proof of citizenship and oppose voter ID. I have a business friend named Terry Atwater, black guy, very bright, really a neat guy. And one day I asked him, I said, Terry, why is it that black people can't get photo IDs? And he looked at me kind of cross-eyed, and he said, what is wrong with you? Are you a racist? Do you think we're all stupid? I said, no, I don't. It's the Democrats.
Yeah.
And I don't think that the Democrats, I don't think that the Democrats think that blacks are stupid. I think it's just an excuse for power. And they're treating the black community like they're idiots.
Right. When you turn the lights on, the rats start to scramble. And that's what's been going on because the Democrats have been cheating for a long time and they need the illegals. They need to make sure that they have all the votes that they shouldn't have, which is why the system has been flooded with votes that shouldn't be in there. You know, and I hate saying it because I before was trying to stay nonpartisan. But we can't do it anymore. It's gotten so ridiculous on what they're saying. I mean, calling it the Jim Crow 2, like you said, talking that the African Americans don't know how to get an ID. Well, Wesley Hunt back in, was it 2022, showed that he was able to have 6 different government IDs that he could show. So they've come up with every single excuse possible. And that's a problem. It's a huge problem that we need to get over.
The election integrity is not a new issue. In 1968, which will tell you how old I am, I was participating in the first and only privately sponsored statewide presidential primary in the nation, in the state of Ohio. And we were doing it, we were Democrats. I was born and raised a liberal Democrat, and my views on things have not changed. And we did this primary, and we got a few 100,000 votes in the primary because at the time, Hubert Humphrey was trying to avoid primaries, something like what happened with Joe Biden. But there was a whole focus on by liberal Democrats then, who would now be considered conservative or right wingers, who wanted election integrity. I mean, this was a program that was put together by Allard Lowenstein and John Kenneth Galbraith. I was one of 4 field coordinators in Ohio. And this was a Democratic push to keep the country free and to protect the election and the selection system. But now they've abandoned it.
Well, how times have changed.
No kidding.
I mean, they're just working against America, working against our military, working against our seniors, working against hardworking people. All the Democrats stand for now are the illegals, rapists, murderers, drug dealers, the worst of the worst, supporting terrorist groups. And this is a fact. It's not like we're making this up. This is what they are fighting for. What happened to our country? What happened to our troops? Right now, we have TSA that isn't even getting paid, as well as the Coast Guard and Secret Service. It's pathetic at this point.
I don't think that they are dealing with ideologies or core beliefs. I think they're using these as excuses, and it's all about power. Because if the elections are clean, and if the elections are fair, Democrats are going to have a hard time winning. I mean, it's very clear that in terms of election reform, particularly voter ID and citizenship-only voting, that across the country, it's between 85 and 87% approval rating. And so the Democrats are going against this?
Yeah, it doesn't make any sense at all. If they want to save their party, they've got to change their minds and get other people in Congress and Senate that want to work for the United States of America and the people of our country. And that's not happening. And we're going back to the election stuff that we were just talking about, with the United States scoring an F compared to all these other countries, and even Russia and China being better at elections than we are, more secure.
Well, it's true. It is unbelievable. It's just absolutely crazy. And the UK they were 77. The interesting thing is you can tell which countries are really focusing in on democracy and trying to improve themselves. Italy, for example, is like 90%. But the point is, these are countries that are trying to improve themselves and getting past the issues. As we had discussed, the election integrity movement that we have in the United States is creating change throughout the entire world. It's having an enormous impact. I presume. Go ahead.
Well, I was going to say, what other countries besides Italy would you say are doing the best they can in improving things more with elections? I mean, Japan, South Africa,
Brazil, Mexico, United Kingdom, Canada. I mean, these are countries where the elections are under heavy scrutiny and people want things better. Germany, France, Australia, New Zealand, Sweden, Nigeria, India, the Philippines, Poland, Hungary, Kenya, Estonia, South Korea, Spain, Italy, Netherlands, Japan, South Africa, and except for all but three of these countries were in our survey. We saw this coming well in advance, and these countries they're.
Well, I was going to say Hungary. I mean, they are fighting for their lives right now to stay hungry. I mean, I watch Viktor Orban from Hungary, and he is fighting for the people. He's fighting against the EU because, I mean, that's a disaster. I mean, as far as the European Union, all they want to do is have the migrants coming in and into all the countries. So far we've had Poland and Hungary that no, that's not happening. And that the people are fighting too, to make sure they don't have the illegals coming into their country.
Well, what's at stake is Western civilization, because that's what's being attacked. It's the values it's the cultural values of each country and the cultural values of the evolvement of each country, because Western civilization wasn't always so nice, but it has evolved and created, it's freed more people and given better lifestyles. It's taken more people out of poverty, educated more people, and given more peace and security than any other system. And the masses of immigration, particularly the illegal immigration, is having a negative impact on all of this. This isn't just a matter of Italy losing its identity or the British losing their identity. This is about, on a state-by-state basis, on a nation-by-nation basis, that are the values of Western civilization, and the rule of law is under attack. And there's no getting around that. And the different nations are taking their lead from what is going on in the United States. Hopefully we'll get the SAVE Act and the Make Elections Greater Act passed. But the movement itself that we're having here is spreading everywhere. It's encouraging people to fight back and to reclaim and preserve their countries and their heritage, and to preserve their freedom and personal safety.
Right. And we see the Prime Minister of Japan and the Prime Minister of Italy, which I love both of them. Both those women are hot tickets, honestly.
Tough women.
They are not going to lose their identity and their history to all these terrorist cells.
No.
And that's basically what it is. When you have the illegals coming in and they do not care about women's rights. And it's not a religion either with what's going on in Iran right now. They have been a terrorist regime for 47 years who are willing to kill their own people. And the women that have been murdered and raped and had all kinds of stuff happen to them, the only ones around the world that are supporting Iran and that regime are the Democrats here in the United States. Around the world.
It's quite bizarre.
I know.
I mean, one of the ironies, one of the ironies is any gay group that supports Iran, because if they were gay over there, they'd be killed.
Yeah, remember they threw that comedian off the building because they found out, he was gay. Okay, well, they killed him. It's just they will kill anybody who is gay, and that's what they support. That's what these protesters here in the United States are doing. It doesn't make any sense.
Well, that's where I disagree with you. It makes a lot of sense. If you're talking about their supporting bad ideas, then I would agree with you. But it's not about the ideas. It's about power. And so many people being basically, as Stalin put it, useful idiots.
Yep.
They don't pay attention to what's going on. If you focus on the issues, then it's like trying to have a rational argument with someone who's irrational. The real issue is power and money. That's it. You take that away, and there's no argument.
Okay, well, we're going to take a quick break and we'll be right back.
At Fight Voter Fraud, we work to ensure every legal vote is counted, and no unlawful vote ever diminishes the voice of we the people. We're fighting for you in courtrooms and communities nationwide to protect transparency, accountability, and fairness in every election. Our mission is simple: one vote for one legal voter. This is our country. This is our vote. Let's protect it together.
Hi, I'm Linda Sinkowitz. I'm the founder and CEO of Fight Voter Fraud. I'm very excited to announce Operation Verify Voters 2026. This is where everyone can get involved. Every single person can get involved in helping make sure we have transparent and clean elections. The most important thing is cleaning the voter rolls. Who knows better than you on your street? You know when people have sold their homes. You know when people moved. You know when other people have passed away. Those are people we need to make sure are no longer on the voter rolls. And it's really easy to do. We can help you. What we're going to be doing is setting up training sessions, which you sign up for, and we will walk you through the process. It's simple, it's easy, and everyone can get involved. So you're going to go to fightvoterfraud.org or scan the QR code, and it'll bring you right to our Operation Verify Voters 2026. And our goal is to get every single state involved in this initiative. Everyone can make a difference. Thank you. Hi, and welcome back to Sinkowitz. Again, I'm Linda Sinkowitz, and we're doing a special this week with Gary Meyers from the Meyers Report. Gary, thank you so much for doing this. You've got so much information, and in the previous segment, we had talked about the United States scoring an F compared to 36 other countries around the world.
Yes.
And now what we're going to talk about is what the Save America Act will do for the different states here in the United States.
Well, it's the Save America Act along with the Make Elections Great Again Act. On the individual states, I guess my own home state right now of Illinois, Illinois scored a 39. Can you imagine that? A 39.
39.
39. And, I find it amazing that people in Illinois can insist, in one breath, they insist that the elections are clean, and the other breath, they take a perverse pride in knowing that the elections are fixed. 39. If we have the passage of those two acts, that score will go up to 72, which is still not passing, but at least it's a D. But the overall impact is going to be rather significant. Interestingly enough, the only state that winds up as an A is Pennsylvania, which moves up from a low D of 66 all the way up to 92, which would give it one of the best election systems, at least on paper, of not only would be the best in the United States, but one of the best in the world. Other states, such as South Carolina, are moving up from a 73 up to an 83. On balance, where most all of our states were flunking or getting a low D, all of a sudden we have at least half of the states getting into the B range, and nobody flunking anymore, which is quite an improvement. We still have some Ds, like Nevada is one of the worst, Wisconsin at 69. Assuming the act is passed. Nevada had the worst score in the country at 30. 30. Kenya is at 90, is in the high 90s.
It's unbelievable because, of course, the Secretary of State in Nevada is like, all of our stuff is great, which we know is not the case here. So what were the types of questions that were asked that were rated for the countries and for the different states?
Well, we started off with the first thing was citizenship only voting. And we then went to things like voter ID, whether or not they were using paper ballots versus touch screen machines, how they handled the counting. Was there a proper paper trail? Were they allowing mail-in ballots? Because in 2005, the Carter-Baker Commission, which was headed by Jimmy Carter, a Democrat, the commission was formed to analyze and to find out how to protect our election system. The number one format, the number one danger to our election system, they said, were mail-in ballots. And the reason is there's no chain of custody. And getting rid of mail-in ballots and going to paper ballots, which is another one of the categories. These are the two main thrusts, not only in the United States, throughout the world. People do not trust, they don't trust their election systems, and they want to. But this is primarily in the states that want to preserve their own democracies.
Right.
So
it's one of the most important rights of people here in the United States is to be able to vote. Yet so many people treat it like, well, we should have every convenience in the world and let's do like 45 days of voting in Virginia. It should be important enough to have same day in-person paper ballots hand counted. We should be a national
I agree with you. I agree with you on everything except the hand counting. The way
Yeah.
I believe it should be. Oh, wait a second. The way I
Okay.
think it should be done is that you have paper ballots that are
Mhm.
run through dumb tabulators, and you keep the paper ballots for recounts and for audits. Otherwise, it can become unwieldy.
Well, like I said, I just, after everything that I've seen, heard, read, and know about, we don't want to go near anything at all. And there is an efficient way of hand counting the ballots. You have Mark Cook from the Hand Count Roadshow who explains how easy it is to do. He trains all over the country. And that way it's in front of people. Nothing, I mean, because things can be changed in any machine. It doesn't need
Yes.
the internet. And as we have found out with these machines that had been used with Dominion, they were actually and are still using the cards that are in your phone. So it's like one phone calling another phone, and it doesn't need the internet.
I agree with you.
Yeah. So I get
Here's the
Mhm.
issue.
Yeah.
Another issue, and we can discuss this because, and I would like to speak with Mr. Cook to get educated. But I know a simple thing, for example, one of the problems you can have with hand counting, it can be slow. And we owned a company which we sold that truck stop, a gas station, and I would periodically work behind the counter because I wanted to do every task that everyone else did. I also cleaned the toilets. I did everything. But one of the interesting things is at the end of the day, you had to count the cigarettes, the cigarette packages, and the
Mhm.
cartons of cigarettes.
Right.
I had a real problem with it. And interestingly enough, I had a bigger problem counting the cartons of cigarettes than I did the individual packs of cigarettes.
Well,
But
I should say, Gary, that's probably your problem.
well,
It's
the
just-
reason I'm bringing it up is we had people that could, for some reason, the counting, they just couldn't get it right. And my point is, so there's a problem with hand counting. Now, if there's a way around it, that's fine. I'm not opposed to it, but there are human issues. I think if everything were hand counted, you'd never get the same vote count twice. Now, if we can solve that. Yeah,
Mhm.
I'm good with it.
Well, I will get you in touch with Mark Cook, and Mark
love to
Cook will
speak
show
with
you exactly how it's done and how efficient it actually is. So again, at least we agree that we should have paper ballots. I
Oh,
mean, that is
absolutely.
so
Absolutely.
important.
And the paper, and one of the problems that you have when you have mail-in ballots, besides there's no chain of custody, we went to the Australian ballot system, which was supposed to guarantee privacy and
Mhm.
in the voting booth, so that people could not be intimidated as to how they vote, and they could not be bribed, or would reduce the chances of bribery because nobody could see what they were doing. But by allowing mail-in ballots, particularly with ballot harvesting, we're bringing these evils back, where people
Right.
can have their votes purchased, where they can be threatened with their jobs or anything else. I mean, this is insane. We are
Oh, yeah.
going backward. And I don't hear I don't hear very many people explaining that mail-in ballots opens up the vote to paid votes and intimidation, because it destroys privacy and there is no real chain of custody.
Right, and there's no verification either with the ballots coming in. I mean, we hear
No, that
some
too.
states say that we look at the signatures. No. No, there's only a few states that actually have the equipment to compare the signatures, but then again, everybody's signature through the years actually changes. One of the big things with the absentee ballots are you got the people who have permanent absentee ballots, which means they're on a list in a state that they just keep sending them every year. Well, what happens when they move? What happens when they die? Well, somebody else will get that ballot. Well,
Exactly.
grandma would have wanted to vote this way. Or if their child has gone away to school, they'll vote for their kid because they knew, what their child was going to vote. Meanwhile, their kid in college has already registered and voted in that particular state. And then you have the ones for the nefarious ones where landlords get paid money to accept the absentee ballot applications at particular addresses where the people don't exist. I mean, it's a big money thing. And we've actually explained to people that the drug cartels are behind a lot of it as well because of the money involved with the illegals. Here in Connecticut, it's over $100 per illegal to vote. That came from a Democrat in a recording that was sent a year and a half ago to every single state legislator here in Connecticut. Nobody did anything, and it was forwarded on to me, and I brought some attention to it, but nothing was done. And it was a Democrat in a meeting complaining how the votes for 2024 and the illegals in Hartford, Connecticut were going to cost more than $100 in November. You can't make this stuff up. It's right in front of everybody. But then when you don't have the officials that actually take action, that's a problem. So we as you've seen, with all the information that you've pulled together, scoring is low as the United States is scoring for election integrity for around the world. It's more than pathetic.
Yeah, a lot more than pathetic. You mentioned the issue of comparing signatures. I voted yesterday, and I had to sign, instead of signing a piece of paper, because now in Illinois, you can vote anywhere in the county, irrespective of where you reside, which I think is wrong. So I had to sign, not a piece of paper, I had to sign for signature comparison, a screen. And if anyone's ever signed their signature on a screen with a stylus, it doesn't look like your signature.
Nope, not at all. Mine ends up being really jagged and missing part of the L.
I mean, this is really big time stupid. But the point is, they don't care. And having being able to vote outside of your own district creates all sorts of counting issues.
Well,
and it's
not only counting issues, the local election officials and people that are in those precincts or your particular town in that county, they know the people in their neighborhood. They already know, most of the people coming in. When you start expanding, you can vote wherever you want. That brings in even more nefarious things that could happen with the voting.
That's absolutely true. And knowing the people in your community is a critical factor. I mean, it's another part of the safety net for voter verification. Yeah, it's one thing to match up a signature that maybe it matches or maybe it doesn't. Or even if you don't, as in Illinois, they won't even look at voter ID. But if you know the people, well, for one thing, you know that they're still alive if they show up at the polling station. There is a need for a change.
Okay, so we've talked about all the bad things, but there is hope.
Yes, there is.
What would you say our hope is?
Our hope is that 87% of the people in this country are in favor of voter ID and citizenship voting only. And I think the will of the people will be coming out. I think that the Democrats and the left are getting they're losing ground. And it's not a matter of Democrats over Republicans. It's a matter of sanity and preserving the union over idiocy and criminality.
Mm-hmm.
It's not a matter of Republicans over Democrats. This is the difference between right and wrong. And we have the most viable form of government on the planet in the history of the world. And they want to take it from us. And the fact is, if anything happens to us, the light of liberty goes out for the entire world. And that's a problem.
It's a huge problem. But I believe we can make a difference. We can finally get through all of this once we get the Save America Act. And
Don't
then
forget
we will
the Mega Act,
Oh, yes. And
because that has a greater impact actually than the Save America Act. It's more, it has a greater positive impact on the election system.
so you
But
want to just give us a few more details on that one?
Well, basically, those acts would tidy things up. They would tighten up voter ID. They would tighten up the requirements for proof of citizenship. It would make it more would make it tighter in terms of limiting paper ballots. There should be ballots certainly for our troops overseas.
Absolutely.
And there should be ballots, absentee ballots that are requested on request only for people who are not able to get to the polling place. But quite frankly, if you're too lazy to get your butt out there to go vote, you don't deserve to vote. Voting is a responsibility. It's not just a privilege. And you need to be informed. You need to be able to get, and people who are too lazy to get out of their homes to go vote. I don't care about those people.
Like I said, it needs to be a priority with people in
Yes.
voting, because as I also say, all the people throughout the years that have lost their lives at World War I, World War II, everybody fighting for us to have our freedoms and be able to have a say in our government. People forget about that. So if you need to take a couple hours from work, hopefully your boss will let you go and still have you paid. If not, isn't that worth it to go and be able to vote?
I think so. Since I started voting, what was it, 60 years ago? Long time, 59, if it's about 60 years ago, I have never missed an election. And if I was out of town, I was one year, for example, I was living in Texas. I flew back to New York so I could vote because I was from New York. I didn't vote in both places. I suppose I could have, but it never occurred to me because that's not what you do.
Yeah, well, I also had never missed a vote since I was 18, except in 2016. I found this out a few years later when I was running for state rep, and I was the second person at the polls, and I voted in person. I have later found out they put me down that I didn't vote.
Really?
And I was running for office. But I actually myself believe that if you want to have a say, and if you want to be able to complain about things, you need to vote. Don't just say, "Oh, my vote's not going to count," or et cetera, et cetera. No, you go and vote. One vote for one legal voter. You go and vote, and then you can talk. You shouldn't be saying anything.
Proposition 13, which was put on the ballot in California regarding restricting property tax, was started by one old guy who was retired who got ticked off. And he started a movement back then. I've forgotten his name. He started a movement back then, and he changed a state and he changed a nation. Now, that was back in the, I guess, 60s or 70s. It was a long time ago. And now his efforts have largely been undone in California. But the point is, one person can make a difference. Look at what you're doing. You are making a difference. Anybody could make a difference if they get off their butts and, get off your ass and get out there and dance. Get involved.
You need to get involved. And we also have our Operation Verify Voters 2026. If people want to get involved, even from their own homes, just go to our website, fightvoterfraud.org, and sign up for a class. Tim here is more than happy to train you on what you need to do. And we want to also remind people that if they want to see your broadcast with the Meyers Report, You go to, was it MyersReport.com?
.news.
Is that .news?
Meyers Report News, yes.
MyersReport.news. And, watch this. I mean, it is unbelievable, all the different things that your organization or the people around you have been doing for 45 years. But you've got some exciting things that are happening even on tonight's program.
Yeah, tonight we're going to be discussing what is happening, how the Chinese are responding in the Far East to the activity in Iran. And we have a counterinsurgency expert who is in the Philippines, part of our group, who's going to explain what they're doing in the Philippines as well as other parts of Southeast Asia. And another former naval captain who commanded nuclear attack submarines and a nuclear boomer, the ICBM subs, who's going to be explaining about how the naval capacity works, particularly the most often undiscussed capacity of our own submarine forces. That's the kind of stuff we're going to be handling. And
this is just one of the ones that you end up doing. So what I want to let people know also, because we're running short on time here, is in June. You want to tell us quickly about that event?
Oh, yeah. In June, we're having our gathering we have speakers coming in from 8 different countries. We'll be discussing the economy. We'll be discussing election integrity in great detail. But one of the things we have is 2 very significant people, one from Russia and one from Ukraine. They do have influence, and they are coming to our meeting, and they are going to sit down in the same room. And hopefully, they're both going to speak. Hopefully, they'll be talking to each other. The enmity is real, but we're getting people to sit down and talk, and they're coming in. And
we'll have that information so people can contact you with that as well.
Yes.
Well, Gary, I want to thank you so much for coming on our special. We really appreciate your insight and the Meyers Report group, everyone. So thank you for watching us on OBBM Network TV, Rumble, YouTube, and all the other social platforms. And again, thank you, Gary.
Be well, Linda. Stay safe. God bless.